A special board meeting of the Board of Trustees of the McAllen Independent School District will be held Tuesday, June 18, 2024, beginning at 5 p.m. at the Dr. Ricardo Chapa Boardroom Administration Building of the McAllen Independent School District, 2000 North 23rd Street, McAllen, Texas 78501. At this meeting, there may be discussion by the board on the items and subjects listed as follows. Call the meeting to order. I have done so at 5 p.m. Public comments. We have 2 public comments tonight, and we have a message up on the...
Here are the public comment procedures. Number 1, individuals who wish to participate during the portion of the meeting designated for public comment shall sign up at McAllenisd.org at least 1 hour prior to the start of the scheduled meeting. Number 2, an individual's comments to the board shall not exceed 2 minutes per meeting. Number 3, the board shall not tolerate disruption of the meeting by members of the audience. Thank you.
Información a personas para comentarios públicos. Número 1. Las personas que deseen participar durante la parte de la reunión designada por comentarios públicos deberán registrarse en McAllenisd.org al menos 1 hora antes del inicio de la reunión programada. Número 2. Los comentarios de un individuo a la Junta no excederán de 2 minutos por reunión. Y por último, número 3. La Junta no tolerará la perturbación de la reunión por parte de los miembros del público asistente. Gracias.
Okay, speaker number 1, Ms. Kelsey Martin. Ms. Martin, you will have 2 minutes, and we won't interrupt you. The timer will be on the...
Thank you. Good afternoon, Dr. Gutierrez and board members. I'm Kelsey Martin, and I will start my 32nd year teaching for McAllen ISD in August. I have taught journalism at Memorial High School my entire career. I'm also a member of the teachers organization TCTA. McAllen ISD's motto is that we are the district of choice, but we have become the district of too many choices. In the traditional high school campuses, we are all fighting for the same students, and it's pulling students apart and creating hostility between programs. We are all fighting over the same students we have on our campus. I do not want to call out programs on air that I feel are deceiving parents and students, but it's happening. It's simple to say let's cut small classes, but in reality, there is more to it than that. There is a huge disparity between journalism programs in the district, and although I hear that all campuses should be equal, they are not. In 2019, Memorial was one of the top journalism programs in the state, and now I am begging to find 10 students who will stay in my program. I fear for my program and the other journalism programs because we do not meet the class size numbers you are setting. It is not because we don't want students, but it's because no one's fighting to keep our programs alive, and other programs are pulling students away from us. I wish the time and effort that has been put into justifying trying to make teachers teach a 7th period had been put into figuring out how to regain the students we have lost. Unfortunately, the negative publicity about the district cutting classes and forcing underpaid teachers to teach an additional class without compensation has given McAllen ISD another black eye, and parents are sending their kids elsewhere. My parents raised me to be a part of the solution and not be a part of the problem. I serve on the district's lead committee, our site-based decision-making committee at Memorial. I'm a department head, and I am the academic UIL coordinator at Memorial. I want to be part of the solution and help, but no one will listen to what teachers are suggesting regarding planning periods and class sizes, and it is extremely frustrating, discouraging, and insulting. I, like many, love this district, and I am the biggest advocate for Memorial High School. I want the best for our students in our community. Please reach out and let teachers who have invested years in this district be a part of the solution. Stop dismissing us when you say teachers matter. Please show us. Thank you for your time, and please reach out if necessary.
Our second speaker, Ms. Melina Recia.
Good evening, Madam President, fellow trustees, and Dr. Gutierrez. My name is Melina Recio, and I teach at McAllen High School. I'm here today to speak to you about the urgent necessity that you vote to protect planning periods and teacher time. I'm sure you'd agree that each choice, no matter the size, must be made based on accurate information and backed by the latest data and research. For the past 5 years, I've been immersed in such data and research. I have worked in partnership with TEA and the state legislature on policies impacting education at the state level, perhaps most notably as the first teacher appointed to the teacher vacancy task force by Governor Abbott, where I had the opportunity to work alongside educators and district leaders from around the state for over a year, examining research and evidence. I'd like to highlight a few of our key findings for you tonight. In most high-performing countries, teachers are in front of students only 35% of their working time to allow for additional planning time and collaboration. Examples of innovative master schedules, both nationally and in Texas, increase time for collaborative planning, not cut it. Teachers are the single most important in-school factor impacting student outcomes. To cut funding for this valuable time disregards the facts about what matters in providing a quality education. In light of these facts, we must ask ourselves, by cutting these costs, what are we really saving? Next year, when the children of McAllen are struggling to read, I hope their teacher is available after school for tutoring instead of at a staff meeting. When the children are struggling with their math homework, I hope their teachers are not planning in someone else's room, disaggregating data, not during the day, but in the morning or after school, instead of being available to help them. When the student council and the UIL teams and the star pitchers are all in need of some extra time and attention, I hope there are teachers with the time to help them. I know that you care about the quality of instruction and the teachers in McAllen ISD. I know that you are aware that a budget tells the community, who you were elected to represent, what is important and worth funding. Tonight is an opportunity to stand by that community and prove that you will not allow politics in Austin to divide us by making rash, irresponsible decisions with two of our community's most valuable resources, quality education and time. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Recio. Okay, item number 3, public hearing. This is a public hearing. We are opening a public hearing to discuss 2024-2025 budget and proposed 2024 tax rate. Item submitted by Lorena Garcia, Deputy Superintendent of Business and Operations. Dr. Gutierrez.
Thank you, Madam President and Board of Trustees. Welcome to the public hearing. In this hearing, we will be discussing the fiscal year 2024-2025 budget and proposed 2024 tax rate. Ms. Lorena Garcia, our Deputy Superintendent for Business and Operations, will proceed with the presentation. This is all the planning that we've been doing for the last several months in preparation for the budget for this coming year. And Ms. Garcia will be presenting our budget for this coming year. Go ahead, Ms. Garcia.
Thank you. Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Gutierrez. First of all, I'd like to start off with the heartfelt thank you to our Board of Trustees for all the support that you have provided the district and the administration as we plan this budget for next year. Without your support, this would not be possible, and we feel that we have had many successes during this budget season, and it's through your efforts that we were able to attain that. Next is our administrative staff. We'd also like to give them, also extend our gratitude for their contributions, but not only the administrative staff, but all of those people that we have been meeting with, for example, the Budget Reduction Committee members, the Software Committee, all the district leadership teams, and all the teacher organizations, as well as all the campus staff that we have met with along the way that have provided feedback. Because of their efforts, this was made possible. We were able to accomplish our 3 goals. First of all, we did not want to impact instructional programs. We wanted to make sure to preserve human capital and also to provide a better compensation plan. And we feel that we've accomplished that. On this slide, what you see is the district's public notice. It's a notice of public meeting to discuss the budget and proposed tax rate. This notice is required to be published 10 days in advance of the public meeting, and it was published by the district on June 5th, 2024. It provides some information to the public, primarily about our tax rate, property values, and also our fund balance. First of all, the notice provides the proposed tax rate. Currently, the maintenance tax rate that is being proposed is 0.8448 per $100. This is for maintenance and operations. And then the school debt service tax rate approved by the local voters, that is .1518 per $100. This is to pay for bonded indebtedness. These are as far as the maintenance tax rate, it's a close estimate of what the tax rate will be. We will not deviate from the existing tax rate if any changes are brought back. The tax rate is actually finalized in August. That's when we bring that back. The comparison of the proposed tax rate to last year's, the total proposed tax rate is .9966. And then the 2023 tax year tax rate is $1.0011. As far as estimated fund balances, we are required to provide an estimate within this notice. For maintenance and operations fund balance, at the time of the publishing, we were projecting $118,122,996, and for the interest and sinking fund balance, we were projecting $3,318,706. The following chart depicts 16 years of tax rate history for McAllen ISD, and the final bottom is the proposed tax rate. So it provides a history of the budget year, the tax year, the maintenance and operations tax, the interest and sinking, and then the total tax rate. So again, the proposed tax rate for 2024-2025, which is tax year 2024, is .8448 for maintenance and operations. And for interest and sinking, it's .1518 for a total of .9966. And as I said, the tax rate has not been finalized. It will be finalized in August. If it does change, it may change maybe by a fraction. It cannot go higher than what we are currently at, which is just a fraction of a penny more, which is $1.0011. So the proposed tax rate in comparison to the current tax rate is .0045 decrease. Every penny generates approximately $880,000 in tax effort. The next slide that you're seeing here is a template that is provided by the state that we have to publish on our district website. It's required. It is a budget summary report is what it's called. And what we are sharing with you is a comparison of the 2023-2024 actual budget up to the fifth 6 weeks in comparison to the proposed budget. And as you can see, there's a decrease in just about every single one of the categories in the expenditures where we are cutting back and reducing expenditures. The template is organized by function. So for example, it starts with instruction, and then instructional support, central administration, and then it goes on, it continues. And it provides the aggregate expenditures for that particular function. And so this is to inform the public. And then also the per pupil expenditures. Now, the per pupil expenditures for the actual budget were planned using enrollment number of 20,095 students. And for the proposed budget, we're using 19,685 students. So we are projecting a drop in enrollment. And then this is a continuation of that chart. And now it provides the district operation functions and those comparisons, the debt service, and then the other categories. Moving on to average daily attendance, we are providing a history of the average daily attendance for the district. As you can see, our proposed budget is being planned on 17,717 is what we're projecting. For the fifth 6 weeks in 2023, 2024, we were at 18,005, a little bit short from the original budget that was planned at 18,181. So we're being more conservative in planning this budget. The next chart provides a 2-year budget comparison of revenues by object code for the general fund, the debt service, and capital projects funds. So it begins with breaking it up by the different object code, which is the local revenues, the 5,700s. 5,800 is the state revenues, which that is our state funding that we get, and then 5,900 for the federal revenues. And then it provides a percentage of the total, and then the proposed budget. So for 2024, 2025, the proposed local revenues is 98,732,235. For state revenues, it's $140,703,661. For federal revenues, we are projecting 23,947,355. Then the next column breaks it down by revenues per ADA, average daily attendance, and then we have a comparison to the original budget from this past year. And keep in mind the difference between the actual budget and the original budget is that the original budget was planned with 0 compensation increases in that, and then the actual budget was eventually amended to include that. So that's why the actual budget is a little bit higher. So at the bottom, we do have the fund balance contributions. We begin with the general fund. We have a contribution of 4.5 million, and that is to cover the compensation increases for staff for this coming year. I'd like to point out that it is a deficit, but it's a deficit of less than 2% of our total budget. It's less than 2% of the 263 million total. In addition to that, we are using some funding from our maintenance tax note from 2020 to continue with quite a few construction projects. And then UTRGV Collegiate Academy, that fund has 120,422 left since we are already at completion on that project. And then we also have a few projects that are planned using the MISD Capital Projects Fund, which was reserved also for construction. That's $247,001. All together with the anticipated revenues and the fund balance contributions, it is a proposed budget revenues of $272,810,905. At the bottom, it does have some pie charts breaking down the estimated revenue comparison by source. The next chart shows our appropriations budget summary by fund. So it's broken down a little bit further in detail, and it breaks it down by the different funds. The general fund is composed of several funds. Some are intended for their specific programs. For example, 101 is for food service, and that can only be used for that purpose. 155 for college, career, military readiness, and so on and so forth. And then 199 is the general fund, which is the one that we primarily rely on for most of our expenditures. So it's the same data that was on the previous slide. However, it's categorized by fund in this case. And then we also have our debt service fund, and then our capital projects fund. We also, for your knowledge, we provided the original budget of 23-24 for comparison and the difference between the two columns. This chart is a 2-year budget comparison of appropriations by object code. for the general debt service and capital projects funds. And as you can see, this breaks it down even further. For example, it takes the general fund and breaks it down by payroll costs, professional and contracted services, supplies and materials, other operating costs, debt service, and capital outlay. And then it provides the percentage of that total. And then next to that, we also provide a comparison to the original budget. At the bottom, in order to calculate a true apples-to-apples comparison on the payroll costs, we have to take away certain non-monetary entries, for example, TRS on behalf. And then in 23-24, there was some ESSER funding that was used, so we subtract that out, and we have 81.24% of our budget is payroll costs. Last year it was 80.97. So keep in mind that we have a lower enrollment, so that does factor into that. So there's a difference. And then next we have the appropriations by function. This one is for the 24-25 accelerated instruction funds. And we are required by law to approve these funds separately. They are a portion of state compensatory fund that is set aside for accelerated instruction. And that total is $42,452. So you'll see on your board agenda when you review the budget that we'll have two motions, and this will be one of them. And then the next slide provides, again, the budget summary, where we have a side-by-side of the revenues by object code, by funding source. And then we also have them by function. It's just, again, the same information is being provided for your review. It's just broken down a little further as it was in the colored chart by instruction, by the different funds: general fund, debt service fund, capital projects funds, and total all funds. And that is the conclusion of the public hearing presentation. At this time, I would like to allow the public to provide any comments, if they have any comments, since this is a public hearing.
Thank you, Ms. Garcia. I really appreciate that presentation. At this time, is there anybody in the audience that would like to say something regarding tonight's budget presentation? Good. Okay. So we move on to item 4, discussion and possible action of the McAllen Independent School District June budget amendment for fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2023 and ending June 30th, 2024. Item submitted by Lorena Garcia, Deputy Superintendent for Business and Operations. Dr. Gutierrez.
Yes, we recommend the approval of the June 2024 budget amendment for the 23-24 fiscal year, and administration is recommending action on this item.
Do I have a motion?
Madam President, I move to approve.
Need a second? I have a motion by Trustee Rivera and a second by Trustee De La Garza Lopez. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Madam President, are we going to have any
I'm
discussion?
sorry, any discussion?
Just so that the audience can see what the budget amendment was, or are you going to give a presentation on?
I apologize.
Okay, so this budget amendment is for the debt service, and what we have to present today on this item is that we are making some adjustments to the revenues. We did have a slight increase in collections to the tax collection for fund debt service of $15,000, so we're adding that. We also had other local income increase to tax penalties interest as well, and to the royalties, and that's a total of $43,212. So that's the increase on the revenues. On the expenditure side, we did have the defeasance that was approved in August. The district did keep 8 pennies within the tax rate in order to be able to pay off bond debt earlier. And so at this time, we had to move that tax revenue into an escrow account where it will be earning interest, and then that interest will reduce the tax liability of our taxpayers. So that's why you see that 7.6 million in the expenditures.
Well, okay, so I have a motion by trustee Rivera and a second by trustee De La Garza Lopez. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign. The ayes have it, 6-0, motion passes. Item 5, discussion and possible action on compensation plan for school year 2024-2025. Item submitted by Dr. Albert Canales, Chief Human Resources Officer. Dr. Gutierrez.
As per Board Policy DEA Local, the superintendent shall recommend an annual compensation plan for all district employees. The compensation plan may include wage and salary structures, stipends, benefits, and incentives. Administration is recommending a general pay increase for all employees for the 24-25 school year. Dr. Albert Canales, Chief Human Resources Officer, will share more information, and we are recommending action on this item. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Ms. Garcia.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yes, sir, thank you. In this agenda item, what we're recommending as the administration is a minimum entry-level salary for teachers and librarians with 0 years experience at $288.77 daily, with $54,000 annually, with $362.25 daily and $67,741 annually for teachers and librarians that are new to the district. So this is the teacher hiring schedule with 25+ years experience as the maximum salary for this compensation plan. In addition to that, administration is recommending $1,240 annual increase for teachers and librarians and a 2% pay grade midpoint for non-teaching professional staff. Paraprofessionals and auxiliary staff will be given a 75-cent hourly rate increase. In addition, as per TASB recommendations, additional pay adjustments are made across all pay groups to ascertain all salaries fall within the 10% pay range of market value. Teacher schedule adjustments made to improve competitiveness for specific years, and that all salaries are at least at pay range minimum. And we are asking for action on this item.
Okay. Do we have any? I need a motion and a second. Any discussion as well?
Any discussion?
Any discussion?
I'm sorry, I just joined the meeting.
We are at item 5 on the agenda. Do you have the agenda in front of you?
I'm trying to open it now, I'm sorry. I just argued closing.
We're on page 22.
Yeah. We're discussing the compensation plan for 2024, 25. Can you see us? We're just going to wait a minute or so to give her time to catch up. Meanwhile, is there any discussion on the dais about this?
It froze.
You're frozen.
Can you all hear us?
Yes.
Okay, you're frozen.
Yes.
Well, you're frozen again, so we are at no discussion on our end, and we were ready for a vote. Are you ready for a vote as well?
Oh, I was waiting for them for discussion.
Okay.
I have a tiny bit of discussion.
Okay, cool.
I'm going to be voting no to the compensation plan. There's some staffing guidelines that I've issued with and some stipends that I've issued with. But I've already expressed my views, and so I'm not gonna take up any more time in discussion, but just letting you know why I'll be voting no.
Thank you for that. Are you still with us, Trustee Regalado?
Yes, I am. Okay, I've caught up. I wanted to, just ask, because I had inquired, with the administration about a potential different compensation plan that would provide for a middle ground between, although I really hesitate to make the item a quid pro quo, but with regard to the planning period and then the associated raises, so that everybody knows, I had inquired with administration to what it would look like to have all secondary keep the additional planning period, but not receive a raise, so that we could find that middle ground of balancing our financial and fiscal concerns and continued progress forward, but also provide for the instructional core as well as what our staff seemingly, overwhelmingly, at least from what I've heard, is desiring. And so I didn't see that as an option. My understanding is that the savings would be $1 million, so that we would be cutting into the fund balance $1 million less to do the compensation this year.
Ms. Garcia, we have those numbers.
Yes,
Go ahead.
we went ahead and we rechecked those numbers, and we have 522 teachers that are keeping the planning period, and with the compensation plan increase of 1,240, it would actually be 647,280. That would be the savings, or the.
Okay, so it's not the $1 million that we initially thought?
No, ma'am, no, ma'am. It's actually 647,280.
And how does the administration, I guess, see that as this option? I know that there was some hesitancy about doing different compensation or, doing raises for some and not others, but what does, I guess, the administration think about that?
I think it's to separate teachers by pay like that, it would be very, I think it would be more controversial and it would be more difficult because of the pay grade would be now a disparity between teachers who elect to have a planning period and those that have a raise. Moving forward, it's going to be a separate two groups from now on. And that could create payroll issues as far as when we are giving out salaries, it's going to be now different between teachers. It's going to be, I believe they would be either all get the 2% raise or none, rather than separate them by that, like two distinct groups. That would be difficult to keep track of them moving forward by having two different salaries.
Trustee Regalado?
Okay.
Dr.
Trustee
Gutierrez,
Thompson? Yes.
don't we already have two distinct groups already, with those having planning period and those not having it? And what I'm hearing Trustee Regalado say is, okay, just the ones that are going to keep their planning period, they don't get it. I mean, there's already a discrepancy. How much more have you heard from teachers, I guess is what I'm trying to figure out, in terms of how they would feel about some getting it and some not?
Well, that would have to be on an individual basis, and we would have to ask 600 or 400 teachers individually what they prefer if we go in that direction, and it would just be very, it just would confuse
Yeah.
there would be a lot of confusion with salaries.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, just to be clear, oh, go ahead, Lucy. Sorry, Trustee Kettleman. I didn't mean to suggest that we do a personal choice per teacher. Obviously, I think that would be a nightmare for scheduling, and I don't think that we would be able to work that out. But I just wanted to clarify that what I was suggesting is that for those that are keeping the planning period, the administration would decide not to give raises to those people, and only to those that lost the planning period. And may I ask, what is the administration planning on recommending as far as the planning period is concerned? Where are we in that recommendation?
My recommendation, because it's of an administrative recommendation, we presented it at the last budget workshop to proceed with our plan that we have discussed, that Ms. Nino has presented, and proceed with that plan. Again, it's been a very difficult process, as you all know, and there's a lot of opinions about the planning period, but we have to make a decision, and it's in the district's best interest to proceed with the plan that we have already started a couple of months ago, and continue with that plan. And of course, there's always, we have this coming year that we can continue to work it and tweak it and work to see how it goes and adjust it if we need to adjust it. But I would like to proceed with the plans that we've already presented a couple of times.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted some clarification, and especially just to share a comment on why I'll be not supporting the budget recommendation, just because I'm in support of teachers continuing to keep their planning period, but thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
I just wanted a question for clarification. Is that of the planning period? Because we've been getting a lot of phone calls, I'm sure everybody on the board has as well, regarding the planning period. My understanding is that the planning period is not a board function. It's not a decision for the board to make, it's an administrative.
That's correct. We checked with legal. What we've been doing all this last 6-7 budget workshops, we want to be transparent. We want to be informative as far as what we're doing with reduction in the budget because of the monies that we're getting less. We've been as transparent and as informative as we can be. We talked about planning periods. We talked about software programs that we had to cut. You know all the positions that we've been closing. We've given you copies and talked about that. We've consolidated positions. We've also discussed that. So the last 4 or 5 months that we've talked about this budget is we're trying to be as informative, as transparent. And when we put out the presentations on the planning period, it's part of our transparency and information items that we want to present to all of you, because you will get the phone calls. You would have, as you have been getting calls like I have too. And yes, it is a function of the administration, but as far as presenting it to all of you is out of transparency and to be as informative as we could be with the staff and the community.
Any more discussion?
Dr. Gutierrez, on that note, what is the norm in other school districts in terms of the superintendent having this transparency? Is this something that is unique here, that you're bringing it to the board for approval, or is this something that in other districts, the superintendent decides it and that's it?
Well, that's a good question. It's just that this is a very unique times that we're in because of the budget, that we all have deficits. So now we're trying to figure out ways of trying to have a balanced budget for next year. So for us in McAllen ISD, we looked at everything we could possibly look at and bring it to the board. So many districts have workshops like we've been having and presenting their ideas on addressing their deficits. And for us, it's been a very informative process to have 7, I think, budget workshops in total. Has been very transparent and as informative as we could be. It may not be what people want to hear, and it may not be what people would agree with as a majority, but we have to do something about it to stay fiscally responsible for next year and be able to provide the 3 objectives and the 3 goals that we set out from the beginning, and that is not impact students, not lay off employees, and provide better wages. And we were able to accomplish those 3 goals that we set out from the beginning.
Thank you.
Any other discussion?
I promised myself I was going to sit on my hands.
Okay, so item number 5, I need a motion.
Madam President, I move to approve that the Board of Trustees approve the compensation plan for 2024-2025 school year.
I need a second.
I second.
I have a motion by trustee Rivera and a second by trustee Thompson. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
All those against, same sign.
Aye.
The vote is 6-1, and the motion passes. Item number 6, discussion and possible action of the adoption of the McAllen Independent School District budget for fiscal year beginning July 1, 2024, and ending June 30th, 2025. Item submitted by Lorena Garcia, Deputy Superintendent for Business and Operations. Dr. Gutierrez.
Yes, the Texas Education Code and Board Policy CE requires every local education agency to prepare a budget of anticipated expenditures and revenues on or before June the 19th. The budget shall be approved by McAllen Independent School District's Board of Trustees no later than June 30th. Administration is recommending action on this item, and this is a 3-part item, or 2-part item,
Two-part
sorry.
item. Okay.
Excuse me, if I may, we also included the budget book as part of this attachment, and I'd like to recognize Ms. Iris Luna, our Chief Financial Officer, as well as her finance staff for all the hard work that they put into preparing this budget, as well as the budget book, and all the support that they have provided. So thank you to them.
Thank you so much. Do we have any discussion on this?
I move that the board approve an adoption of the accelerated instruction funds budget of $42,452 for fiscal year beginning July 1, 2024, and ending June 30, 2025.
Second.
Any discussion? I do want to say also thank you to everybody who has worked on this budget. When we came into this year, we were faced with a $14+ million deficit, and we are now at a zeroed budget. And I'd like to recognize administration, everybody who participated, the reduction committee, the budget reduction committee, teachers, all the input that we got from the community and from everybody, Dr. Gutierrez. A lot of hard work went into this. We didn't even know that this was possible when we started the year, and we're in a very good place. So I commend everybody that had a hand in putting this together. Very, very appreciative of that. And so with that, I have a motion by trustee Aliceda and a second by trustee Rivera. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign.
Sorry.
Are you aye in the positive or negative?
Yes, positive.
Thank you. The motion passes 7-0. And then we have a second motion, a second part.
Madam President, I move to approve and adopt the general fund budget of $253,600,151, the debt service fund budget of $14,283,100, and the capital projects fund budget $4,927,654, for a total budget of $272,810,905 for fiscal year beginning July 1, 24, and ending June 30, 25.
We have is there any discussion on that? I'm sorry. Lizzie, I'm sorry, trustee Kittleman? Nope.
Yes, sorry, I did make a comment earlier about my reasoning.
Okay.
And so I'll just let that sit for this one as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so I have a motion by trustee De La Garza Lopez and a second by trustee Rivera. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Aye.
So that's, you're a negative, Debbie?
I'm a negative.
Okay. The motion, the vote is 5-2, motion passes. Okay. Item number 7, Discussion and possible action by the Board of Trustees of the McAllen Independent School District to delegate the superintendent's authority to hire Chapter 21 employees. Item submitted by Dr. Albert Canales, Chief Human Resources Officer. Dr. Gutierrez.
Yes, as per DC legal, the board may delegate final authority for those decisions to the superintendent. Administration recommends that the Board of Trustees of the McAllen Independent School District delegate the superintendent's authority to hire staff Chapter 21 employees. We are recommending action on this item. I just want to add that this is very common in the summertime for boards to authorize superintendents to hire teachers, since we're not having a meeting after today until probably a month from now. And we may have vacancies. We may have some very highly qualified teachers. Superintendents are authorized by boards, and I'm asking for this board to give me the same authority to hire teachers due to the fact that we're not going to be having a meeting within a month from now. And we don't want to lose highly qualified teachers that we can approve. I do want to say that whoever gets approved by me during this time, we will bring the list of those teachers for a formal approval by the board when we meet back in either late July or early August. You will get the list of any teachers that I have approved so that you could verify and see the list of who was approved during this time. And that's why I'm asking for the board to authorize me to hire teachers so that we don't lose out on highly qualified teachers. Superintendents from surrounding areas get this kind of approval. If I don't get it, then I can't hire a teacher, and I have to wait till the board meeting takes place. And time is of the essence because teachers will get hired. Whoever gives them a contract, more than likely that's where they're going to sign. And I want to be able to be as competitive as the surrounding districts by approving these teachers in the event that we need a teacher to be approved during the time that we're not going to meet.
I move that the Board of Trustees
So moved.
delegate the superintendent authority to hire Chapter 21 employees from tomorrow through August 12th, 2024.
Do I have?
Second.
Thank you. Do we have any discussion?
Just for discussion, clarification, these are all certified teachers, correct?
That's correct. Yeah, that's correct.
No further questions.
Thank you. If there are no more discussion, I have a motion by Trustee Aliceda and a second by Trustee Regalado. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those
Aye. Aye.
all those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 7-0.
The item is pulled out. Item number.
7.
7-0.
On the next item, Madam President, that item was pulled out?
On number 8,
Correct.
8A. Okay, 8A has been removed from the agenda. We move over to item 9, Board of Trustees items. 9A, discussion and possible action of Board of Education meeting minutes. Administration is recommending approval on these items. Can I have a motion to approve Board of Education meeting minutes? 9A1, special board meeting, May 29, 2024. 9A2, special board meeting, May 31st, 2024. 9A3, special board meeting, June 3rd, 2024. 9A4, special board meeting, June 4th, 2024. And 9A5, regular board meeting, June 10th, 2024.
Madam Chair, I move to approve items 9A 1 through 5.
Second.
I have a motion by Trustee De La Garza Lopez and a second by Trustee Rivera. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 7-0. And item 9B, discussion and possible action on to nominate candidates for Region 1 position. Item 9A, a seat on the Texas, 9B, I'm sorry, a seat on the Texas Association of School Boards. Do you have a motion to nominate a candidate for Region 1 position 4 at this time? So Region 1 sent us a...
Madam President,
Yes, ma'am.
I move that the board nominate Aaron Rivera to represent our school board in that position.
Trustee Regalado, the requirements
If he
require
accepts.
18 months, so he's not eligible. But thank you. I'm sure he thanks you.
The requirement,
Oh, I'm sorry, then that
18 months.
means that,
So Region 1 sent us a notice that one of the trustees on the Texas Association of School Boards has left his position, and therefore we can nominate someone as a possible candidate for that position. Of course, I believe all other districts have the same opportunity, and so Trustee Aliceda has informed, and I might have missed it, but that you have to have at least 18 months service on your board to be able to serve.
Yeah. It's on page 362.
oh, I apologize. I was thinking in terms of getting diversity of representation and trying to pick somebody that wasn't already an exec. But thank you for that, Trustee Aliceda. In that case, who is eligible? Trustee Aliceda and
Trustee Pena.
Trustee De La Garza Lopez?
That you served before?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in the aggregate. The
Yes.
candidate must have served at least 18 months in the aggregate.
So yeah, she's eligible.
she's eligible.
So yeah, it's just myself, Trustee De La Garza Lopez, and Trustee Aliceda.
Rock, paper, scissors.
Is there an interest among the three that are eligible?
I think any of us would do it if we had to, yeah. I think it's important to have representation if we can get it.
Yeah.
I
I'd be happy
nominate
to do it.
Trustee, oh, sorry, go ahead, Aliceda
Yeah.
Second.
for that position.
Thank you.
Okay. Any further discussion? The nomination, by the way, is Trustee Aliceda. So if no discussion, can I have a motion and a second on this, please? Oh,
I'm sorry.
I'm
but
sorry.
I have a verdict, so I need to get off.
Good luck.
But I vote the affirmative.
Good luck.
thank you. So motion by Trustee Thompson. Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Trustee Thompson and a second by Trustee De La Garza Lopez. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion pass, and all those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 7-0. Congratulations, Trustee Aliceda. Good luck.
Thank you.
And item 10, recess to closed session. Board of Trustees may go into closed session pursuant to section 551.071, 551.072, 551.074, 551.076, and 551.089 of the Texas Government Code to discuss the following. 10A, discussion of human resources recommendations for school year 2024-25. 10B, discussion of human resources employee resignations and retirees for school year 2023-2024. Discussions and recommendation for the principal at Michael E. Fossum Middle School for 24-25. Discussion and recommendation for the principal of Ben Milam Elementary for 2024-2025. At 5:55 p.m., we are in closed session. 6:34 p.m., we are reconvened in open session. Item 12, action items in closed session. 12A, discussion and possible action of human resources recommendation for school year 2024-2025. Item submitted by Dr. Albert Canales, Chief Human Resources Officer. Dr. Gutierrez.
Human Resources is submitting a list of recommendations for the 24-25 school year under separate cover that were discussed during closed session. Administration is recommending action on this item.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Trustee Aliceda and a second by Trustee De La Garza Lopez. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 5-0. Okay, item 12B, discussion of human resources employee resignations and retirees for school year 2023-2024, submitted by Dr. Albert Canales, Chief Human Resources Officer. Dr. Gutierrez.
Human Resources submitted a list of resignations and retirees for the 23-24 school year under separate cover that were discussed during closed session. This item is for information purposes only.
Okay, thank you. Item 12C, discussion and possible action on recommendation for principal at Michael E. Fossum Middle School for year 2024-2025, submitted by Dr. Albert Canales, Chief Human Resources Officer. Dr. Gutierrez.
Administration recommends the approval of Ms. Nora Trevino for the principal at Michael E. Fossum Middle School. We are recommending action on this item.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Trustee De La Garza Lopez and a second by Trustee Rivera. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 5-0. Congratulations, Ms. Nora Trevino. And yes. Item 12D, discussion and possible action on recommendation for the principal at Ben Malam Elementary for 2024-2025 school year, submitted by Dr. Albert Canales, Chief Human Resources Officer. Dr. Gutierrez. Please.
Administration recommends the approval of Ms. Edna Hernandez for the principal at Van Milam Elementary for the 24-25 school year. We are recommending action on this item.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Trustee Rivera and a second by Trustee De La Garza Lopez. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 5-0. Congratulations, Ms. Edna Hernandez. And finally, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Madam President, before you adjourn, I just want to make an announcement that from McAllen High School, Manuel, what's his last name, Doctor? Manny Pena and Brennan, I can't remember his last name either. Anyway, they're right now at nationals, out of 220 entries at national in the duo interpretation for speech and debate. They've advanced out of the prelims and are now among 60 teams in the entire United States.
Wow.
Awesome.
From McAllen ISD. Incredible.
Congratulations,
And they are
gentlemen.
in theater at Mac High as well, and choir.
Good job, good job. Do I-
Madam Chair,
Yes.
if I could have the floor for a second. I just want to, again, thank everybody for the hard work this budget season. I know that we tasked the superintendent early on that we wanted to get this rolling sooner than later because we knew the situation we were in. 15 months ago, when I ran for office, I came to my first budget meeting and we were advised that the district was in the hole $5 million. And I ran on that there had to be things to be done that were better. And we were able, even though the prior board and superintendent had a 0% increase for our staff, we were able to figure out by scraping by a 2% increase for our staff at that time and still balance the budget, giving at that time the prior SUPS Phase 1 and Phase 2 plan. Upon his exit, we had a wonderful interim SUP that led us through those challenging times, and we continued to see where we could cut, not knowing the situation we would be in today. $14 million was nothing that any of us, I think, could have ever expected to experience and work through this year. To say that this year has been one of the hardest as a school board member, not just for McAllen ISD, I would have to say for all of Texas, it has been a task, and it is hard for us because we want to do what's best for teachers and for our children as well. And so I get it. I appreciate the fight that our teachers put in, our community members, the emails, the letters, the texts, the Facebook posts, the Facebook messages, stops in the grocery aisle at HEB. Someone stopped me last night at a funeral. And we understand and we want to do what's best for everybody, but we also have a task to do to balance the budget. In Ms. Garcia's presentation tonight, we saw where our tax rate from just 2020 to today, 2024, in 4 years, we lost 15 cents for our property tax rate. And if she's, when she says she's correct, 1 cent equals $880,000. That's $13.2 million that we're short just in our property taxes that the state had promised would cover, and yet instead of covering, they just keep reminding us that we owe them, or they overpaid us, or, you know, whatever situation that has led to the $14 million deficit. Over this year, we have had countless grievances and lawsuits and messes that we have had to clean up for prior decisions. We have had to work hard to figure out where we can cover expenses, over 300 positions of overstaffing that we're still having to cover in salaries because we refuse to lay off, as many of our neighboring districts did. And so for us to be able to give, and we've said from the beginning, salary increases is our priority because we recognize where we are in the chain between other districts, but we're still covering those $300 or 300 people of overstaff. So we try our best, and it may not be perfect, and no decision that we make tonight or any other night is going to satisfy everybody, but we do it with the best of intentions. And so I appreciate everybody in our community who is keeping an eye on us. We strive for transparency and the utmost integrity, and I just pray that come May, when elections are up, I'm grateful for those who have stepped up, and we saw that list of 32 names. I hope to see that same energy come May, because we need school board trustees that want to do it for the right reasons, that are in it to support our children and our teachers, and not some kind of personal gain, because there is no amount of money that could compensate for all the work that our staff does or trustees, because it is hard and it is 24 hours a day. And I hope that going forward, our community is aware of those that wanting to serve in these seats and that they want to do it for the right reasons, because McAllen ISD has a long-standing reputation in our community, and we have a lot of work to do to make up for some of the issues that we've had in the past. But I feel strongly about this board and the positive reasons why everybody is here to serve, and I know that we will continue to do what's best. And even though you may not see it here in public, we are asking staff, asking questions, getting involved, and collaborating, because we strive to do what is best for our teachers and our staff and everybody involved. So I want to thank everybody. I want to thank everybody for their grace and their patience with us. Thank you, Dr. Gutierrez, for the hard work, and I know that we will continue to pressure you as well to help us and to help our district move forward. So thank you.
Good words.
Sorry,
Very well said.
had to say it.
Ms. Thompson?
And so with that,
No.
I move to adjourn.
I will second that.
We have a motion by trustee De La Garza Lopez and a second by trustee Rivera. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign. We are adjourned at 6:44 PM.